would have been the 23rd? 23rd.
You're correct. Let's do this. You ready?
Yep. TNTM the show presents Comicast 262 with your host.
TNTM the show presents Comicast 261.
Oh.
With your host, Pablo Gunner and
JD.
And he's back.
Yeah.
Back in black.
I'm evidently in the future too.
He looks like Jay. Yeah, in the future. Yeah. He looks like Jay today from Jay and Silent Bob. If you're not, on the up and up.
If you're not a VSQ Kevin Smith universe fan.
Yeah. So anyways, we're here to review the comics. And we're here to review the comics for the week of November 23rd.
Yeah.
And
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, indeed. Hope you had a...
Oh, American Thanksgiving.
American, yes. Because Canadians
It's
earlier...
previous. It's like 2 or 3 weeks previous.
I wonder why. Like, did the natives visit them sooner? Or how does that...
I'm not familiar with Canada's holidays.
Not sure. But anyways, we have our own grade scale here at Talk Nerdy to Me, right?
It's a buy, skim, pass, with variations on buy and skim. Strong buy, weak buy, strong skim, weak skim.
Exactly. Pass is pass. Then our best book of the week is...
The BBOW.
Back in Bag of the Week. That is correct. Absolutely. And we have a timer that goes off. We have a little ringtone that goes off. Here's a ringtone for this week. If you know what it is, tell me. Be as specific as possible. And I'll hook you up with a free digital comic. Here it is. Wonderful. Anyways, that's it. I was tempted to give another hint, but anyways, love it. And so yeah, when that goes off, it's time for us to wrap it up, and we are going to say our grade. But we're gonna try something different this week, and we're gonna try to guess each other's grade. Ooh. And we'll see if we can keep a little tally going.
Okay.
And see who wins at the end of who knows whose preferences or what their score is best.
Okay. That
change it up a little bit. Change it up. Keep it a little fresh. Not just for the viewers, listeners, likers, followers, fans, whatever, friends, fellow nerds, whatever you want to call yourselves, whatever we call you, and fun for us as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Yeah, 1 minute if it's just one person reviewing.
And 2 for
2 minutes for both of us, which that is most of the books here.
Yeah,
we're gonna get started. We're gonna start with some Civil War because let's try to get that out of the way. Marvel's trying to get it out of the way, but they got one more book, at least one more book to go.
We may see a few more tie-ins, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see some tie-ins. So let's get this party started with
Captain Marvel number 10, written by the Ruth and Christos Gage, art by Tony Silas.
Yes.
And Matthew Wilson did the colors, and it's.
I actually didn't pick this up at first, and then I was like, I feel like I need to. But this one picks up exactly where it left off, which is her accusing Aurora of being crazy and stuff, because she does have some issues.
Volumes, maybe.
But anyways, the whole Alpha Flight, they just gang up on her. It turns out that this was part of her plan. Because there's an inside...
There's a mole.
Yeah, there is a mole. There's an inside man. And so she essentially did that to
flesh him out.
Yeah, flesh him out, exactly. And so, yeah, it's pretty crazy. You see how this has actually been building up pretty well. How, from past arcs, from another person, and just how this led up to this. Now, as a whole, I don't feel like it really was the strongest of tie-ins, because it doesn't really tie into the war necessarily, but it does tie in the sense that this person was trying to control the war, as well as this predictive person, and all that stuff like that, and trying to use it to his own plan, and everything like that.
And then we have Henry Peter Garrick.
Yeah, he's an unpleasant fellow.
I was never a fan of his character, but that's the way his character's written.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it looks great. It's interesting. Like I said, it does a good job of. It's been building to this on its own.
It's
you know,
pretty
like
good.
within its own thing.
I
So
enjoyed the art.
it was pretty solid. I don't feel like you necessarily need to be reading Civil War to enjoy this arc or these.
Vice versa.
Yeah. So, but it was, like I said, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, it's okay.
It wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't. It definitely wasn't bad.
All right, here it is. I'm gonna say that you believe it is a weak buy.
Let's see.
I mean, granted, the art's beautiful, but the story didn't feel solid, even if you have been reading the last few issues.
I'm trying to find the stupid digital code, and I can't find it anywhere. And I'm at the beginning of the book. Well, okay, let me guess yours. I'm gonna say that you're gonna give it probably the same.
Excellent.
But I give it a buy. It's it's a buy. Because it's not the art that's lacking.
No. It's the pacing of the story.
It's something in the writing, but it's not horrible. That's the thing. It's not bad. It's not.
It's not bad at all. I mean,
so, but yeah. Here's a digital code if you want to check it out. F for family, C for camera, M for Mankey, H for home, V for vector, C for camera, J for Jones, X for X-Men, V for Vegeta, 7, N for Nova, and E for Echo.
Next up, we have Civil War 2, number 7, written by Brian Michael Bendis. David Marquez is the art. Color done by John Ponzer. And then let's just go ahead and say it. The Old Man Logan section, the writers were the Andrea Sorrentino and Marcelo
Maiolo.
Yeah. And it's hopefully maybe the conclusion to this, or almost the conclusion, because I thought it was supposed to go to 7 instead of 8.
Yeah, see, there's one more, definitely.
Yeah.
There's
got to be one more, but I thought it was supposed to be the conclusion.
Yeah, this one, like you said, Old Man Logan stuff. And to me, that's confusing enough in itself because Old Man Logan is a different...
It's a different time
universe.
It's
a
different time.
So, why... Like, I can understand...
And Logan is in the current timeline.
He's in the current timeline. So, I think he's actually reading something that happened in his own timeline versus...
Yeah.
What is going to happen in this timeline? Yeah, right, in the current one. So I think it's a mistake, and of course they show the panel that the spread that they keep on showing, the death of Cap.
Yeah.
And then with Miles and stuff, that stuff going on.
That image is reused like 2 or 3 times in this whole thing.
Yeah. They continue to do that whole.
Hey, Miles, leave Miles alone. Call off the cops. He's doing nothing wrong.
They keep on doing the hands up, don't shoot thing.
Yep.
Which I think is a good thing because it's real life,
yeah.
And you're throwing it in there. Now, I thought this giant armored Iron Man was actually Riri, but then I finally realized that it wasn't in this one. This one is legitimately Iron Man. So essentially, what it just comes down to is an all-out fight between just Captain Marvel and
Tony
Iron
Stark.
Man. Yeah. So, and then that's it. That it just ends on a cliffhanger. That's it. Like,
and Ulysses is like, no, they can't fight. They can't fight. You can't fight.
Right. In his vision,
Logan says, it's all started with Tony Stark.
Yeah.
It's Tony Stark's fault.
Yeah, he pushed her too far. That's all he says. He just says he pushed her too far. Not specifically who exactly. But her. And with the current situation, he just assumes
that's Captain Marvel.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, but... Alright, it's grade time.
Alrighty, Dave. You're going to give this a buy. You're going to give it a buy. because it's not the strong buy that you want. It's not the ultimate mind screw that you would expect from a just before the end issue of a comic book series that's supposed to change the face of Marvel. It's mediocre.
It does drop some interesting stuff, but you are correct.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna say though that you gave it a strong buy.
I gave it a weak buy, actually.
What?
It's it's the pacing of this comic. It's just, I don't know what it is. I think the writers are just saying, it's Civil War. It's already over. Nobody cares. We still got like 2 issues to write. We got to wrap this up somewhere.
They keep on screwing themselves because they keep on doing this. They did the same thing with Secret Wars, where they were already putting out post-Secret Wars books, and Secret Wars wasn't over, and everyone's like, we already know what happens because we've been reading the
we already know something
stuff.
happens to Tony because Riri's Iron Man, or she's the Invincible Iron Man, and then you have Doctor Doom, which is like the immoral Iron Man, or I don't know, I haven't got to him yet. Infamous Iron Man, yeah. So I mean, we already know that happens, and Tony being in this war machine, it hits you in the feels a little bit, but it's not the same. Right? It's not good to me. Okay. So again, weak buy for me.
And we are 1 for 1. We're tied right now. All right, cool. Now we're gonna jump into some DC stuff with Teen Titans #2, and do you know who it is? I know it's Benjamin Percy.
I've got it all written down. It's just a matter of me getting to the book again. Teen Titans #2. Benjamin Percy's story in words. Diogenes Neves did the pencils. Rui Jose and Sean Parsons did the inks. And Jim Carlampidis and John Callis did the colors.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it's one of the other pages.
Right on. So the art is different, but it wasn't like...
It wasn't like a astounding change. It was actually fairly good.
It flowed pretty well. Yeah, I thought it flowed pretty well.
Which cover did you end up getting? Because there's 2 covers.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's a variant.
There's a variant right here.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool. But we start out with Robin doing his Batman thing.
He's filling them in on who's going after them and why and everything like that, but he's not giving them the entire truth. That
he's omitting that he is Ra's al Ghul's grandson.
Right, which I thought that was just something.
It was common knowledge.
Yes, I thought it was common knowledge. Like people knew that at this point.
Well, yeah. I mean.
But apparently not. At least now we know that, and they show up.
And he keeps saying he's the son of Batman.
Yes.
Son of Batman. And then they kind of have their equals on the other team, and more or less they kind of drop the bomb. Damian was supposed to lead us.
Yeah.
I mean, he was supposed to be our leader.
It's funny because he runs away, and you think like, "Wow, that's a horrible way to start a team, Damian."
Yeah, he's a little.
But then you realize that he's
not running away.
He's not running away. Yeah,
that's not Damian.
Yeah, he doesn't run away.
He's
not.
He regroups
a runner.
And
he's a fighter.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was really great. It was fantastic. But I also kind of felt like this was sort of stuff we kind of already knew. Not all of it. There was some new stuff, but for the most part, it wasn't entirely new, especially for the reader.
Yes.
If you're entirely new to comics, yes, you don't know that
Damian's
the son of Batman
and with Mascajones
and the
Grande Cojones
grandson of
Ra's al Ghul.
So
which Talia is at the very beginning of the comic, and it kind of goes through that. I mean,
yeah. So
and this is kind of the first time that Damian's been fleshed out in DC Rebirth, because we haven't seen him in any of the Batman titles. So I can understand this. So, like you said, if you've never picked up a DC comic,
this is definitely more for new readers. I feel like,
yes,
specifically this issue. I feel like you jump on it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So
I love the art.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal. Like I said, it flowed really well.
And the story is just set up.
So, I'm gonna say that you give it a strong buy.
You actually got that one.
Okay.
Because again, the art's beautiful.
Yeah,
I
it is
enjoyed this nice
magnificent.
little ride, even though it was just regurgitated plot points. And the final the final person, the final team, the enemy team, the nemesis team, whatever you want to call them. What do we call them?
The Deadly Assassins or something like that. I forget exactly
know.
what they were called.
Regardless, the use of Tim's death is just cold.
Yeah, it was messed up.
That
was
cold.
messed up. That was messed up.
I think you just give this a buy.
You are correct. You are correct. All right, we're still tied.
Okay.
All right, cool. Continuing on with DC and number 2, it's Batman Beyond. Dan Jurgens is the writer. I want to say June Chang.
Bernard Chang as the artist, and Marcelo
Maiolo again.
Yeah, and
on
then
colors.
Travis Lyman is doing the letters.
Okay.
And we kind of get to one of Bruce's final battles with the man known as the Joker.
Yes, and they're like, oh well, his body was mutilated, and there was bits of him, and there's DNA, but there's no
physical body,
right? Which we all know the rules with that.
There's no body. He's not dead.
Right.
And even if there is a body, they're not dead.
Right. It could be a fake body, or it could be brought back.
Yeah. The rules of life and death do not apply in Marvel
comics.
or DC or in Vertigo or Image or Boom. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was cool. I liked the difference in the. I felt like there was a difference, but it didn't. I think it was more in the colors than anything else. In the style of the flashback stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But because it was the same artist, I believe. It wasn't like actual change. It's weird though how this one guy, he goes by Terminal, and he's like all obsessed with the Joker, but he's not a Joker, and all the other ones are in Joker's Town, which they've come up with this plan to. He doesn't just show up and go, hey, I'm part of the gang. He throws himself in there, kind of proves himself, and then they're like, that's not enough. And he's like, oh, well, my pops, which you kind of called it in the last issue where you're like, oh, his daddy did something like this when he was matches. And I was like, so that's exactly what he does. And he's like, this was my pops. And they're like, all right.
In the words of a great YouTuber, I am a grand prognosticator.
So, yeah, it was. It's interesting. I like where it's going. I want to continue seeing where it's going.
Yeah.
It looks great all the way through. It's interesting. I like the flashback stuff, and
you'll give it a strong buy.
I will. I will give it a strong buy. I will give it a strong buy. I'm gonna say you're gonna give it the same.
That's exactly right, because it was a grand comic. I enjoyed it. It was. Again, I
not to mention what Dana finds out too.
Oh yeah,
she's like, "Oh, what?" So that was good. That was good.
It was a great mystery comic. It set the stage for the next few issues. It's well worth the buy. Well worth it.
Indeed. Cool. On to we're back. We're back with Marvel. This time it's going to be
the Ultimate Squared.
The Ultimate Squared. Some post-Civil War. Not anything different. They've been putting out post-Civil War books, but this one feels more legitimately post-Civil War. But yeah, The Ultimate Squared, number 1.
I'm trying to find the credits on this, and I just can't seem to find them.
It is Al Ewing as the writer, and then Trouble Foreman is the artist, and then Brown as colors.
That's the end.
So this one, it shows Eternity screaming and then chains and stuff, and it's trippy. It's awesome. And it turns out that Blue Marvel is actually hooked into this machine that he's trying to... Well, it does two different things. It's showing him that, but it's also showing him how Spectrum, Monica Rambeau, sees.
It's like the Metatron chair that Batman used to sit in pre-rebirth stuff.
Yeah, and so it's cool because like it's cool and kind of messed up because he sees things as a scientist, and she's like, I don't really like how you're just treating me like I'm some sort of
A lab
experiment.
system.
Yeah. And then somebody shows up to attack them who was a previous villain, but it doesn't. He's not necessarily fighting them. He's just kind of capturing them, but you don't get that. I really liked the interaction between T'Challa and Captain Marvel, which was funny. I thought
the whole it's not the I guess it's the Clark Kent syndrome.
kind of, yeah.
I mean, I think that's how I think it Clark Kent syndrome. I didn't really like it. It just didn't feel right.
For him, it worked. For
her, it works.
For her, it didn't. Because he's pretending he shows up as just I'm just a average American guy.
Oh, traffic was insane
and everything like that. Whereas Captain Marvel, I thought it was. I don't know if this was a joke or if it was a flaw. Which she says, the diner lady's like, "Oh, you look just like Captain Marvel," and she's like, "Oh, I get that all the time," and then he comes in and he's like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah," and she's like, "Well, I'm a spy, or I used to be a spy," and I'm like, "Well, you're not doing a very good job if that lady just told you that you look just like Captain Marvel."
Yeah,
he's doing a lot better job.
It's like, remember when you wore the mask? That kept your identity a little bit less seen, so people wouldn't recognize you out in the open.
Yeah, or if you just put dyed your hair, something, change it up. But yeah, it's just the way it plays out. You find out that person who,
attacked him earlier,
yes, is actually recruiting. That he was working for somebody else who needs heralds. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And it's interesting. It is interesting.
Yeah.
Dan Brown is a colorist. That's who he was. Okay, so yeah, it was. It looks trippy as hell. It's freaking insane.
And then there's a splash comic, a splash page at the end of it, that shows a lot of the upcoming events in the year for this brand new comic.
Uh-huh.
It looks like Lilith is a part of it. It looks like we have Fin Fang Foom, Reed Richards of the Ultimate Universe building back the Ultimate Universe. I mean, it's got a little stuff to look forward to, and it's got some interesting splashes on this page.
For sure.
Short of that, what's your grade on this? All right. You're going to give this just a buy. And the reason I say that is because this was a beautiful issue. I mean, the art was good. It keeps you interested in stuff. It feels like it was missing that one piece to hook you in and make you want to buy the next one.
I give it a strong buy and a contender. I love this artist. This is like one of my favorite artists.
Ooh,
he did Animal Man, and I love this art. And it did hook me because I go, maybe I'll talk about it more later. But it just, the person who was recruiting them, and like I said, heralds. That's all I'm going to say. That was my hook right there. I was what? Okay.
That one aspect
and then boom, you had that final spread at the end, which she was part of it last time, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But that looked amazing. So yeah. That being said, I'm gonna say that you gave it a buy.
I actually gave it a strong buy.
Oh, okay.
Just like you.
All right. Well, we're still
the
tied.
reason I gave it a strong buy is the splash page at the end.
Oh, okay.
That was the one thing that redeemed that. I mean, again, we're not going to spoil it, but it's a great reveal, but it's still not enough because which version of this character are we looking at that's asking for heralds? Are we looking at the one that was recently presented to us in a certain sparkly color? Or are we looking at the classic one that's in a multi-tone, suit? Which version of this character we're looking for? So that's if I'd known that information for sure, then yeah, I would have. But it's a strong buy.
Okay.
Strong buy.
All right. Okay. Here's the digital code if you want to check this one out for yourself. F for Familia, C for Carlos, M for Marcos, B for Brito, C for Carlos, 6, R for Rigoberto, another R for Rigoberto, B for Brito, S for Senor, Z for Zorro, and J for Juan.
For one.
Yep.
One.
All right, cool. On to our next post-Civil War book and number 1. It's VENOM.
Number 1, written by Mike Costa. Gerardo Sandoval is the artist. Color artist Adano Sanchez Almara and Clayton Cowles did the letters.
And this one gives an intro that's like, once again, if you're a completely new reader,
this is cut and dry
for you.
This is your origin story for Venom right
now. Now there's this creature, and it shows Venom, and I thought it was the chick Venom because it looks more
Screech or Siren or whatever,
petite.
Yeah.
But then it just, I don't know. It seems like sickly or something like that. I don't know.
It's actually the symbiote, or at least maybe the symbiote's got a homeless person as a host right now. I mean, we don't really get that information.
But there's this guy, and he does security. He says he was in the Army. Yeah. He was an Army Ranger, in fact.
And he used to murk people.
And now he's working with Mac Gargan. It's supposed to be a job where he's just essentially stands around to look tough.
Yeah.
Kind of a security.
You don't need a gun. You just need to act like you can kill somebody.
Which, that was kind of stupid. And I was like, really? But then, like we said, Venom shows up to the aid, and then it shows this insane spread, which I really didn't know how to read it. I wasn't sure. It was a little confusing, but I don't think it really matters how you read it.
Not really.
Honestly. But it was really interesting. The only thing, and I love the way I love the new look. It looks so cool. I like how it has a little more white, but it also looks more vicious.
It's more skeletal. And that's with the hands.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen the bottom of the costume yet myself, but with the hands, it really looks like the white's outlining the bone structure of the knuckles. Yeah.
But it looks pretty sick, and on top of that, like they Venom. They're making Venom like its own character, where Venom has its own wants and its own agenda, sort of, where he's looking for a host, but he wants a good person.
Yeah.
And that's what he thought he was doing, but he may have been wrong. Or it may have been wrong.
Yes.
So, I'm willing to see how this plays out for the next issue, but at the same time, I'm going to have to say that, like, because of the fact that it doesn't explain to me, and I think I'm thinking and hoping that they do this in the next issue, is explain as to why
the symbiote and this person are separated constantly, I guess.
Well, not that, but why it left...
Or why it left Eddie
Flash.
or Flash.
Why it left Flash.
Or even if it did leave Flash. Because Flash at least had a part of it.
Yeah, so is this another... Like, what... I just need...
What's the origin of the symbiote?
I need to know what's going on with this. If they don't explain it in the next issue, that's when I know whether it's going to be a pickup or not.
For a series like this, I'm going to personally give it about 4 issues. And then if it hasn't got me by then, I'm done. I'm done. Because I love Venom as a character.
Yeah.
It's a great, I grew up with the Lethal Protector, where he was, in the mystical stuff with Ghost Rider. I mean, Venom's a great character as Eddie Brock. I enjoyed Flash Thompson's tenure as Agent Venom from time to time, when it was Agent Venom as opposed to the Space Knight. I
like Space Knight all the way through.
I mean, Space Knight was good here and there, but I don't know. It just didn't feel right. So, I think you give this a buy. It's not a strong buy because, again, you're not sure if you want to pick it up. But it was worth the pickup because of, the illustrations are great. The story's somewhat captivating. It kind of says, hey, a little bit more and you'll get some more. You'll get some payout. But I think you give it a buy.
You are correct. I am going to go with a buy. I think, though, that you're going to give this one a strong buy. So.
You got it.
All right, cool. Let's see. Where do I throw that one? Keeping that one, digital code for Talking Nerdy Vlogcast. as well as all the other ones I didn't give away.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we have a Batgirl number, 5?
Yes, Batgirl number 5.
Hope Larson does the writing. Raphael Abakoike did the art. Dave McCaig did the colors, and Darren Bennett did the letters.
Is this just me?
It's you.
Okay, it's all me. So this one, yeah, something crazy happened at the end of that last issue, and it's happened to this lady that she calls teacher. I thought she would like be older and be like a better teacher. I don't know. This issue was really, really odd because they're fighting, and so the thing is that this thing has made this lady smarter. This whatever this serum is or whatever it is, this drug, and so she's fighting smarter against Barbara. Well, Barbara's really smart. We know that she's a genius. So it's like, but she's losing the fight, and they're like, oh, well, you need to just turn off your eidetic memory. That's the only way you're gonna beat this girl is if you just focus on the fighting and just take in like the moment to moment instead of trying to
predict the moment.
Trying to memorize not memorize, but essentially store everything that's coming your way. You know what I mean? So they're like, you need to shut off your brain, and that's the way to stop this. And that ends up being the case. And so it was just kind of like, that's weird. And I don't know. Like, it just seemed, the art's great in it, and I like it. It was just odd to me. I don't know. I just
Again, I think the art in this has improved for the last few issues, because the last few issues have been a slightly different style, a rough style, and this seems more grit, more rounded, and the style was great.
Yeah, the art is phenomenal.
But I think that story-wise would have killed it for you, and so I think you'll say a weak buy for this. Probably incorrect, but that's what I think you'd say as a weak buy for this. It's a good book, but I mean, this is why I haven't picked it up. Because, well, the story has not been intriguing to me enough.
It was pretty anticlimactic, but I just love this art, man. I love this art, so it's gonna be a buy for me. It's gonna be a buy for me, but close, close. Like I said, it was just anticlimactic, and it was like that was it. Like you should have just been able to beat her regardless. But even then, that just seemed like too easy. She should have been. I don't know. I just felt like that villain wasn't that tough. I don't know. It just, like I said.
Me.
All right. Next, we have
Hal Jordan in the GLC.
Yeah, the Green Lantern Corps. It's number 9. Writer is Robert Venditti. Penciler Rafa Sandoval. Inker Jordi Tarragona. Colorist Tomei Murray. And so yeah, this one continues, and I don't know, it was weird because what they did in the last issue, I thought like, okay, so it's not Starro. But then they go, it is Starro, but somebody's using Starro.
It's like Starro is a pawn of something else.
Yes. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
And then it flips back and forth between that and Hal's ring.
Yeah, with
the
Hal's
one that
ring.
Hal
and he's
forged.
inside of the
Emerald. What do they call it?
Emerald.
Hold on.
Emerald Space.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it is. With Abin Sur. Abin Sur's there, and he's like, "You're not supposed to be here. This isn't your place."
Yeah, you're supposed to be kind of on the living side of things.
Yeah.
When a Green Lantern dies, this is where we go. But you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah. So I think he's like, and they explain it a little bit, like what he did and everything like that. I think that this stuff is getting more interesting with the whole Starro and part of the other thing. I don't know. I thought it was really weird though with the guy that he kind of looks like a shark or something like that.
And he figures out the sonics and stuff.
Yes, but he has a different, like he says an oath, but it's like his own. It was weird.
I didn't quite get that either.
that was like, what? Why? Like that didn't make sense. And he even had a different symbol. It was a bell.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And I was like, why does he have a different symbol? That's weird.
He's like a Green Lantern wannabe.
Or like a Green Lantern. He just changed. He's just his own.
Yeah, he's his own core on
his own Green Lantern. I don't know. It was weird. It didn't make sense.
It's because of plot. It's an ex machina, man.
And then they have somebody who's also been missing show up at the end. I'm not I don't really know this guy, so I'm not a fan because I don't know him. You know, like that's.
I'm not a fan, but I remember him because, well, he kind of took over for the Green Lantern comic books for a little bit. But shall we tell what the big plot line is that we discovered, or shall we save that, because that was a great big plot line discovery, like who's controlling Starro and
they teased it in the previous one, and I think they revealed it in this one, didn't they? Well, I think they even revealed it in this one. You can. I'm not opposed to it.
What's going on is that the Green Lantern and the Yellow Lantern cores are both trapped by Brainiac in one of his nice little bottles.
Right, but I don't know if he did purposely do that to them, but it's also on that, whatever that planet is, of the bird people.
Yeah.
Tomari.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's interesting. It's getting more interesting slowly but surely.
It was a good, thing after the previous arc of Sinister's Law.
It's hard to compete with that. It's hard to compete with that. You can't compete with that.
So I mean, this is building.
This is building, and it's getting better.
It's getting there, but it's not there yet.
Correct.
So this gentleman right here, we'll give it a buy.
Correct. And I'm going to say the same about you.
Yeah. I mean, the art's beautiful, but I mean, it's still starting the plot line. And the last one, it started off like fantastic. I mean, poof, right out the gate. With Hal forging the ring, it was nonstop, and this is just notching up.
That's right. And you know what that means? Time for a commercial break. It's time to hear a word from one of our sponsors. All right. And back to books.
That's great. Great sponsor.
It is SPIDER-GWEN, number 14. Jason Latour is the writer. Rabiel Rodriguez and Chris Visions are artists. Rico Renzi is color artist. All right.
And then we start out with Captain Stacy in prison or jail or wherever the heck he's at. I mean, this New York, the whole place is a prison.
Right, jail, and we have Matt Murdock is his lawyer because Spider-Woman has teamed up with him.
Yeah.
Which is horrible. Bad, just terrible.
Because we know that this version of Matt Murdock is the Kingpin.
Yes. He's a bad dude. He's a bad dude. I
mean, he's not like the big guy.
And there's something else going on with Ben Parker. How he's being it is Thanksgiving time. He's being weird. He's being like he doesn't want to be involved with any of the activities. Like people invite him to go play some football. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to go out. He's kind of like stuck in the past and everything like that.
Yeah, and then we have this thing with Gwen and her talking to Aunt May, and it's just a great little dialogue between the two of them. It's just a real heart-to-heart slice of life thing.
And then the art changes to Chris Visions. What's her name shows up?
Jessica Drew.
Jessica Drew shows up with apparently her boyfriend. I don't know. He seems really dumb in this. And looks really dumb. Part of it is the art. Like, it just turns into this
goofy thing about Thanksgiving, I guess.
Yeah, that's about it.
It's like the artist from Howard the Duck came in and started writing Spider-Gwen.
There you go. I feel like I
think I just summed it up.
That covers it pretty well.
And then that's how they end the comic. I mean,
and not in a flattering way. Like I'm not talking Chip Zdarsky
there are
style.
some really good
there's some solid
Howard the Duck stuff, but
this is like bad Howard the Duck.
Like Howard the Duck slapstick, Sleepwalker all molded into one. It's weird. Because of that, I think you'll either give it a weak buy or a strong skim, because this is, again, it was a solid book up until the the point where the art changed, which was again the Jessica Drew stuff. It feels like a completely different story. Like, draw something emotional. Oh, you draw Thanksgiving, but you draw something emotional. We'll just smash the two together. Am I right?
Yes,
Okay.
you are right.
So what is it? A weak buy or a strong skim?
This one's tough, man, because
It's literally that borderline.
half of it is
phenomenal.
superb, phenomenal book, and then the other half is just supreme garbage. Like, it is. I don't want to say that you can skip this, because
Again,
the first half
part
is just gold.
Yeah.
But then that second half is just garbage. It is just, yes. It is just dookie. So...
Alright, so what you do is you go, and if you buy this comic, you take half of it.
And literally cut it in half, because you don't need the second half at all. Like, you don't. You don't need the back of it. You don't...
I mean, the digital code might be worth something, but...
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is not how you write good comics.
This is how you
So
this is how you get me to drop a comic. Or this
in
is
one issue.
or not drop a comic, but this is how you get me to take it off my pull list easily and go, it's time to start just picking it up willy-nilly, skim it. I'm gonna have to. It's one of those books that I'm gonna have to start skimming if they're gonna keep on doing this type of thing, because
you want that first artist. You want that first art, that story style.
All I want is art to be
consistent.
And you know what? It's fine if it's not consistent, but make it consistent. I mean, if it's a thematic change, which I didn't think it was,
having a separation of story.
Yes.
Having another art, comment page.
But especially this jarring of an art style, way too different in one book. Like, it's way too different.
And then, again, the plot was just pulled out of nowhere. I mean, it's like, oh, you went from Aunt May to Thanksgiving?
With Jessica Drew.
And somebody.
Porcupine. It was awful. It was so bad. It just... Oh, my God. Like... it just.
What's my rating?
You're a weak buy, but you are correct. I give it a strong skim.
Okay. Again, that was that borderline. I knew it was that borderline there.
What about you?
It's a weak buy.
Okay.
I mean, because again, that first half of this comic is gold.
Yes, it is. It is superb. Perfect. It really is.
And then all of a sudden, you see Jessica Drew on the page, and you're like, "What the hell is this garbage? What did I just jump into? Is this an alternate universe? What's going on? Is this a completely different comic or story? Because it could very well be a completely different comic or story, but they don't say that.
Yeah. Here's digital code if you want to check it out for yourself. F for Fang Foom. That's only one F though. C for Chamako. M for Mankey, 483, I for Icarus, Z for Zelda, W for Wesker, S for Saiyan, U for Ultron, and another S for Saiyan.
Alright, what we got next? So we got the Death
of X number 4. Did you read this one?
Yes.
Okay, you did.
So, I actually ended up reading all of it at the same time because it's
awesome.
So I got the whole story. Pretty weird.
Writers: Charles Soule and Jeff Lemire. Pencilers: Aaron Cooter and Javier Garron. Inkers: Jay Leaston and Javier Garron. Colorists: Maury Hollowell and J. David Ramos.
And it's really looking at it piece by piece, because I've been catching up and stuff. Lately I haven't really read it all, but looking at it piece by piece, I can understand why people wouldn't like it. But looking at it as a whole, it's a great story.
It's so this one, it picks up where it left off, kind of. They're trying to destroy the Cloud, and they need to use this guy named Alchemy, where the Inhumans notice, so they attack him. he's hurt, and he's just a regular dude. He doesn't even
Well,
want to be involved. But
No,
they're like,
he
we
just
have
has
to
the
use you.
ability to change the molecular content. You know, like
Right.
So he used at one point in time he used to be able to touch people and turn them to gold, and stuff like that. So he's basically trying to destroy the way that.
Because I forgot that there actually was 2 separate clouds of the Terrigen Mist, and they were going around the world. And so this is what happened to one of them, is this.
Yeah, alchemy.
But you see something happened to Alchemy, but there are some fishy things that are going on. You're like, some things are off. Like, I don't feel like this is Scott exactly. There's something is off about Scott, and
it's really
I
weird.
really like how it plays out. I think the art is very consistent. Like, they have 2 different artists, and I thought the art was pretty solid all the way through. Like I said, it was very consistent. And even Havoc, which I don't know if anybody remembers, but half of his face is like messed up. He kind of looks like Two-Face, but not nearly as bad. And that was from like an arc from when he was part of the Avengers and stuff. But anyways, he even has a talk with Emma Frost, and he's like, there was something weird going on, and she explains it to him.
It's like, hey, we made Scott a martyr.
And
we said that he got killed by a Black Bolt, but he really got killed by the Terrigen Mist.
Yes, at the beginning of this arc, which you find out, and I went, there was, there's something like this. I've been waiting for something like this for so long, which is, for one, for her to show multiple things, that she's still in love with Scott and that he deserved better.
She's a manipulative.
Yes, she is, and I've been waiting for her to go bad for so long, especially now that he's gone. Especially now that he's gone, because I felt like he was the good in her life.
Yeah, he was the anchor.
Yes, that made her good. It wasn't. I think that she kind of made him bad too. Like they kind of. He made her better, and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was just done so well, and I can't wait to see how this continues to play out with her.
The Inhumans
now,
versus X-Men.
It is sad to see kind of the way that they made, like how Scott really went out. But when you think what she did made everyone think the way he went out, that is what everyone believes, and that is better.
That's really how you would expect Scott to go out.
Yes, and I like that. And I like that so much. I like that, hey, everyone thinks that is, and so as far as everybody knows, that is, and that's better. Like you said, as a whole, this is really interesting. My only qualms with it is that it should have came out
about 2 months ago. As one
at the beginning of this new universe. Mm-hmm. You know, at the end of Secret Wars, which I think the reason they didn't is because they don't want to do a war next to a war, because this is going to go right into Inhumans versus X-Men, and so that's a war essentially, which. That's all Marvel is one just giant war back to back to back. So I don't see why you wouldn't go from Secret Wars to X-Men versus Inhumans, because now we have Civil War 2, and now that Civil War 2 is going to be ending, then X-Men versus Inhumans starting.
So this is World War 9 because it's World War IX.
So yeah, it's a strong buy and
it's a strong buying contender for both of us. I mean, that's just no telling it. The art in this book was amazing.
I kind of jumped the gun,
no,
but
you're okay,
I think the both of us would have known.
I read the whole thing as a unit, and
that's I bet it was better that way.
Phenomenal. This is way better in trade than it was by single issues. So definitely pick it up. It is a contender.
Yes. All right. On to
The Flash,
number 11. And it is Joshua Williamson as the writer, Felipe Watanabe as the artist, Claire Albert. Oh, actually, it's David Gianfelice as the artist, and then Ivan Placencia as color artist. I'm just going based off of what it says on the cover.
Joshua Williamson's writers, David how do you pronounce his name?
Gianfelice.
Yeah, and Ivan Placencia.
Placencia.
Yeah, as the colors.
So this one's crazy, man, because it shows
Wally
West, and he's fighting like
these little shadow creature type things, man.
Yes, And I kind of like how they kind of look like the Kingdom Hearts.
That's the Heartless.
The Heartless,
Yeah,
yes!
that's so awesome.
And then even this character, though, he shows up and he's like, oh, hey, something's gone wrong. I've lost control of this. Like, I'm still,
Well, first we get Iris and Barry and
yes.
Hey, have you seen Wally lately? No, I'm sorry, I haven't seen him.
And then Flash shows up and he's like, hey, and she's like, that wasn't your call to make to ground him from being
Kid
Flash.
Flash. And then we have the Shade show.
Then we have that guy.
And then Iris
and
got some
explains
cojones.
the backstory.
Iris got some cojones. She just kind of barges right into the Shadowland.
Yes. To go find Kid Flash. And then you found out what happened to her, but not just her, also
Hope. Or the Shade's little chica.
Yes. Yeah, that works. So yeah, man, it's really interesting stuff.
Because we get this nice little heart-to-heart thing where the Shade spills his guts. I mean, he's right, man. I really wanted to go straight. I fell in love with this woman, and then the Shadowland people decided to start crawling out of the Shadowland, and I can't control them. And by the way, Iris and Hope, they're not Iris and Hope anymore. They're possessed by these shadow people, and they're going to be like the queens of the universe now.
I really liked Wally West in this because he was like, "This is the deal." Like,
hey,
let
me catch you up.
Yeah, it gets colder when these things are in the area or when they're about to show up. And I've been here forever, and he's like, "No, you haven't been. It's only been a few hours." But it just seems that way
because there's no time.
Because he's been running and stuff. It's the whole way through. The art looks so great. I love the film look, kind of like the old timey flashback film. Look. It was really, really cool, really interesting. I really dug that.
And he gives it a strong buy and a contender. Strong buy and contender.
I'm gonna say the same for you, and you are correct.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah. This was great. I love this. This is consistently one of the best books that DC puts out.
Yeah, and it's one of those books where they do change the art, but the art change is thematic.
Mild.
It's a thematic change, but it's not. It's not so outrageously
surprise. It's this matches this villain we got going on.
Yes, and it flows pretty well. It flows pretty. Yes, exactly. So yeah. Moving on to Batman Detective Comics number 945.
Again, continuing on with the Victims Syndicate, Part 3. James Tynion is the writer, is writing.
Al Barrio Nuevo as the...
I mean, there's certain arts, I mean, the pages and stuff are broken up.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Bernardino Carnino, Hannah,
Carmen Carnero, Scott Hanna's inks.
I mean, you even have Albuquerque doing covers and stuff.
And then Adriano Lucas as colors.
I mean, this has got some interesting credits, but what we got going on here is.
So this one picks up exactly where it left off, not exactly. It's a little bit after where it left off, which is there was that Victim Syndicate lady dude guy person visited Stephanie. And so Stephanie's kind of spouting up stuff, and so Batman's like, I want everyone to see the Psych. Everyone.
Yeah. And the Psych is Leslie Tompkins. I mean, long-time Batman doctor.
Yes. And so, I really, really like Batwing. He's well written in this. Mm-hmm. I've never really cared or been interested in him before, but I really, really am digging him. I'm also really liking Clayface.
Really goes deep into spoiler on this one.
Yes, it does. It does quite a bit in multiple ways. And so it's really interesting, really good. And I really like how she's like, oh, all you care about is the mission. All you care about is this and that, And he's like, all right, you know what? Like, that's not the reason that he grounds her. He grounds her for other reasons. Mm-hmm. He grounds her more so because he cares. And so I think that was a big show to her of, like, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
instead of me going out there and doing something foolish, he's caring for me. And we got a subplot about Kathy and her dad, and, he's kind of goading at her, and, hey, I really want to talk to you, Kathy, but he's not really saying that. Yeah, he's just being a complete douche about it.
Yes.
And then we have the victim syndicate going into the room with Azrael.
Yes, that was cool, man. That was cool.
Excuse me, Jean-Paul Valley.
Mm.
Let's just call him what he is, because he's not in costume.
Yeah, he's not.
So he is Jean-Paul Valley.
He was just summoning the sword, but yeah, it just keeps getting better, and it's crazy at the end though because I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
I think she's off her rocker a little bit.
I think she's a little mental as well.
I mean, I think it's a coping thing. I think maybe if you could do something like this, you probably would. You know, or most of us would probably maybe do something like this, depending on how we deal with grief. So this one, different arts, different artists, pretty consistent. Yes, there is slight changes, like you can tell,
but it still doesn't disturb the experience of the story.
It doesn't. It, like I said, it flows pretty well. It's not entirely consistent, but I feel like it is slightly thematic, you know, and it does flow well. It is pretty good. And the story's really just getting better. This is kind of becoming like a psychological thriller.
Almost.
Because it's going deeply into a lot of people's psyche. Batwoman, you know, Batwing,
or getting
Batman,
kind of a Cape Fear kind of thing going on.
Stephen, like a lot of people actually. So yeah.
Especially, I love the scene with Clayface and Leslie.
Yes, that too. That was really good as well.
Well written in dialogue, and it gives us so much story. But we also know that Basil Karlo is an actor. So is it valid information? Is it really him opening up? Or is it him kind of putting us off and, you know, throwing what we want to see in our face? Mm-hmm. Have you thought of it like that?
No, not until now.
I mean, it's a great point of view. I still think you say it as a strong buy-in as a contender.
Absolutely.
And
I'm going to say same thing for you.
Yeah, it's kind of obvious. I've been trying to just look at it from a point of view of what really things are, and Basil, you know, foremost was a horrible, horrible actor, but he became Clayface to, you know,
and over time he has posed as other people, other villains, you know, and pulled it off. So
especially where he, you know, in the Hush story, where he pulled off Jason Todd. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some points where he's becoming a great actor, and I think this is starting to pull towards the fact that Basil Karlo is still an actor. And he's upped his game to where he's vulnerable and can act vulnerable without being vulnerable. Okay. So, yeah.
Interesting. You ready for Star Wars number 25?
Yes, a quarter, 25. We have Jason Aaron doing the writing. Jorge Molina is the art. Matt Milla is the color artist. And, we had, what is that, the last flight of the Harbinger? This is the end of the last flight of Harbinger, part 5.
Yeah. So, I love this chick, and I feel like...
What, Sana?
Yes, I love Sana, and I have the actress in mind, too, of, like, who would play her.
Or Sarah?
And everything like that, because she's just such a great character. And... I like the way this plays out, especially how this guy's fighting Luke and is like, oh, you know, the Force is BS. And then he's like, no, it's not. And then boom.
The Force is a distraction.
Force push. Really? Bam. Knocks him out. I was like, yes, that's the way to show somebody.
Not only knocks him out, but
make a believer out of him. Yeah. And then the fight with Chewie, and he's fighting this big old dude. That was freaking awesome.
This juggernaut.
He's like, oh, I haven't had Wookiee in a while.
I'm gonna eat me some Wookiee.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then Leia and Han, what's going on with them? And then on top of that, there's also R2's pulling his weight as well.
He's flying the ship.
And he's also doing the coding for that person that's trying to hack. Like, he keeps on setting up firewalls and stuff. To block them from taking over.
Successful.
Yes, and so and Han does something crazy, thermal detonator, and I was like, what? Okay, they had breathing apparatuses. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
So the mission ends up being successful, and they end up escaping from Vader and the Delta Squad.
Okay, I was gonna say successful for whom, but yes, you are correct.
But we find out that one of the guys is missing an arm. You know, the guy that Luke pinned.
Yeah.
He's straight missing his arm, and they have a hostage.
Yes, they have. I don't know how useful the hostage is going to be.
I don't know. We'll see how well the hostage goes and go from that point.
Now there was an extra tacked on thing. This was
really Calvin and Hobbes style.
This was $4.99. How much is it usually? Is it $3.99?
I think it is.
I think it's usually $3.99. But anyways, it's called Droid Dilemma. It's by Chris Eliopoulos. I don't know, and Jordi Belair, in memory of Kenny Baker. Which, for those of you that don't know, Kenny Baker was the guy who actually played
was in the R2 unit.
R2, yes. And so I had to look that up. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is that guy, but I had to make sure.
And this takes place around the time of the end of the New Hope, because we see Luke having that yellow jacket at the end of the New Hope.
Yes, and
Leia looks like she's wearing a Hoth uniform.
But yeah, it's just a little cute little story with R2.
With R2, he's just kind of going around and ends up having this nice little adventure. And again, it's how Calvin and Hobbes style.
Yes.
I mean, it's very comical. He bumps into this Gonk droid. He bumps into an R4 unit, another protocol droid, a 2-1B unit. You know, the healing droid, whatever. And then he's just trying to get around to, he ends up bumping into the guard droid again, and he ends up right around at Luke. I mean, it's just a nice little fun thing to look at. It was worthless. It's not worth your time. It was a great tribute to Kenny.
It's a great tribute, and I feel like if you're
if you're the guy in the R2 unit and you're just moving him around and stuff, this is probably how things would go for you.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm conflicted because I feel like this is $1 more than it usually is because of this story, and this story is not.
It's not good, but it is a good tribute.
Yeah, it's a good tribute.
But it's.
But it doesn't really.
It's not worth $1. Now, if that $1 were to go to like a Kenny Baker Foundation type thing, I'd be all cool with it.
That is very. I was going to say the exact same thing.
I'd straight be all cool with it.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
But this seems like greed. So
right. It's like, oh, you want to do a tribute and then you want to charge me an extra $1 for it? That's kind of messed up.
So he's going to give it a buy because of that. Other than just only because of that. Other than that, the book's great.
Otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, it's a strong buy.
But because you made him spend an extra $1 on a story that he didn't ask for, that's not going to a good cause, you're greedy and you rank the comic a little bit lower.
I'm gonna say you still gave it a strong buy though.
I give it a strong buy because I love how somebody lost an arm. That's straight up. That's great. I love the hostage. It was the action was nonstop, and I am a fan of the original trilogy, and I think this was a great tribute to Kenny Baker. It don't matter to me that I had to buy a little extra, but I would prefer that this
goes towards something.
Like
if it said that, I don't know if it does. I doubt it does.
No, it does.
No. I don't see them doing that, but
hey, this goes to a Kenny Baker Foundation or the George Lucas Foundation for whatever he donates to the kids and stuff. I mean, that'd be great, but it doesn't.
All right, here's a digital code if you want to check it out for yourself. F for fan, C for camera, M for Mankey, V for Vegeta 34, A for Alvin, F for fan 132, P for Pietro. All right, last DC book of the week. It is Action Comics, Superman Action Comics 968. I really love this cover because it has Luthor in chains the way that they've shown Superman in chains like that before.
There's the variant.
Just so cool.
I mean, its variant's okay, but the Luthor in chains is
yeah, for sure.
Is good.
It's Dan Jurgens as the writer. I want to say it's Tyler Kirkham as the artist, and Ulysses Adiola as colorist.
It picks up pretty much where we had, last time. Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Superman shows up to the fight, and he's fighting one of these dudes, and it's obvious though that this one of these dudes is trying to keep him distracted. I also like how John is there, and how he's like, John is constantly struggling with, do I get
Do I
involved,
get
do I not
involved?
get involved?
Yeah. Daddy needs my help. I'm here. I got abilities. I want to help.
I like Luthor. I'm liking him more. It's weird though how, like, I don't know why he takes his helmet off, because it ends up hurting him. You know, like sometimes he has the helmet on, sometimes he doesn't, which is clear. Um,
Yeah.
but Superman ends up catching on, and then he goes to the aid of Luthor, which is, he's doing a decent job of handling himself, but not the greatest.
No, I mean, then it becomes 2-on-1 more or less.
And they find out some more information too. But and also, he finds out, like, okay, this is why they're stopping him, and everything like that, which is interesting because this Superman is the one that goes like, Lex is, it's just a matter of time before he goes bad.
Oh yeah.
And so he's like, but he's still defending him
Because he hasn't gone bad yet. I mean,
Right.
you gotta, you can't do the punishment before the crime. You have to do punishment after the crime. Guilty until proven innocent does not work. It's innocent until proven guilty.
And these guys are actually handling themselves really well against Superman, and they're like, oh, I've dealt with Kryptonians before.
Yeah, you're nothing.
Which is interesting.
You're nothing but meat.
So,
and this is why we're doing it. Yeah, and the whole thing with Clark Kent and Lois Lane and Little J, because, Little J doesn't get involved a couple of times, or whatnot. It's like, hey, that's my dad there. They're like, oh, he's not a target, so we'll just drop him like a carcass and walk away. Take our prize. Take what we really want. So, alrighty, I think that you gave this a strong buy, but not a contender. Because it doesn't seem like it has that kind of status for you.
You're correct. You are correct. There's something slightly off about the art. I don't know what it is, but it's just slightly. And then and then the story too. There's just, and it's so slight that it doesn't constitute a buy because it's not that huge. It's just not. It's one of those things where it's not perfect. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's
a filler issue.
Close, but it's not. Yeah, because it's like, I don't know the deal with these guys. I love the stuff that they had going on with, they were kind of doing the death and return of Superman type stuff.
Oh, and
I think this is kind of play into it, but
hold on, didn't they even mention that?
I'm gonna say that you gave it a strong buy and contender, though.
No, actually, I just gave it a buy.
Wow.
I mean, again, I did not like the way the story went. It was very predictable, and the art was beautiful. I mean, the Godslayer thing, it was just gorgeous, but
I think that puts you one ahead.
I don't really like this story. It doesn't feel good. I don't know. Maybe they'll bring in like Lobo and things will get interesting or something like that.
We'll see. All right, we have a few indie comics to do here. This one is The Black Monday Murders #4, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Tom Cocker, colors by Michael Garland. And this is a long read, but it's so great. This one was really hard to. This is a hard book to explain. It really is. It really is a hard book to explain. All I can say is, like, it looks magnificent. It's really interesting. Oh man, it just looks super great. This detective does return to this professor though to talk to him and find some things out. Then you also get some past history about this lady, and all in between you get journals of this guy, which I believe is Daniel Walter Rothschild, and it's journals of him young and growing up and stuff like that. Like I said, you find out like why this lady got thrown out and everything like that of this elite group, and it was more so because she was just really getting after it. Like, she was really gosh, what is it called? Um, but yeah, it just looks amazing. It's super interesting. It's really great stuff. I don't know, like I feel like I'm reviewing this horribly because I'm not doing a good job of describing this, but it looks phenomenal and it's super interesting, just like conspiracy theory type stuff. I feel like this one it's definitely makes more sense as a trade, but I'm loving it in issues, and it's so thick and so rich. It is $4.99. You get so much out of it. I give it a strong buy.
I actually have one more comic of DC that I have not reviewed that I picked up that you didn't.
Oh, okay.
And that was Titans #5. And this is going to be a really quick review because there's not so much progress here. But let me get you the credits real quick.
I was looking forward to hearing you review this.
This is Dan Abnett as the writer, Brett Booth as the penciler, Norm Rampant is the inker, and Andrew Dahlhaus is the colorist. And we have picked up from where we left off last time. The team is in trouble. They're like all over the country. Wally has to run and save all of them. So we have sets of two. The person that's with Wally, who is, of course, the red vigilante, whatever we're calling Arsenal. Then you have Robin and Diana is, the Donna Troy. They're being held captive. You have the Omen and who else is I don't know. But anyway, they're set up. So Wally's got to run. I mean, he is just zooming across the country, saving. They're like, what happened? I don't know. It had to be Wally because we didn't see it happen.
Yeah.
And he's just taking everybody out and whatnot. And of course, Linda Park is the last one. He's got to save her last. And he's just pushing and pushing and pushing. And he saves her and all, but at a cost. And the cost is he goes back into the Speed Force. I mean, he just, poof. That's it. And that's where we leave the comic. That's it. That's the whole story in a minute. It's a beautiful comic. It was great, but I just literally summed up the entire comic in a minute. But it takes place probably within the minute that I just talked about.
And nothing changed. It's still Wally West book. Now, it might not be anymore, or maybe it will be even more because it's just going to just focus on him.
Yeah, because Wally poof up and vanished like a fart in the wind. I mean, this is something you would not like because this, again, is the Wally West show. The entire comic.
But it sounds pretty intense, and I'm going to say that you probably gave it a strong buy, though.
Oh, I gave it a strong buy and a contender because it's gorgeous. I mean, wow. I enjoyed it. A lot more than I think I did, and the variant cover was just beautiful as well. But strong buy, contender for me.
Okay, cool. Right on.
So now we're even.
I think so, yeah, I think so. Now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 64, it's IDW.
And you give it a strong buy and a contender.
Yes, that doesn't count. I have 2 extra books more than you. That's not fair. It's a story by Kevin Eastman, Bobby Curnow, and Tom Waltz. Script Tom Waltz, art Dave Wachter, colors Rhonda Pattison, and this is Ninja Turtles, so it's just not fair, period.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Okay, so this one picks up where it left off, which is the Purple Dragons, with Casey Jones leading the Purple Dragons, fighting these street phantoms, fighting these dudes. And it's crazy because Leo has no idea what's going on. In fact, the Turtles don't know what's going on. And Leo's like, we need to stay focused. This is not the issue here. All the while, like, this lady, she keeps on trying to recruit Harold. And she's like, you know what? I'm willing to leave them and just be with you and stuff. And he's like, all right, fine. But I just want to, no cyborg BS and stuff. And then the Turtles show up and they fight the Phantoms. It gets really, really intense. But even Harold, you see that the repercussions of Harold being part of this. He starts to realize, you know what, ever since you guys came into my life has been nothing but drama, and all this horrible bad stuff. And it's crazy. There's a fight between this guy, the leader of the Street Phantoms, and Splinter, of course, wins the fight.
Oh yeah, because it's Splinter.
And it's just a crazy
Fun ride.
Strong by, like you said, strong by contender. I don't even.
Dude, every week it's every time there's a Turtles comic out, you're either gonna choose a strong by contender or it is your back and bag of the week. I mean, it's almost like clockwork, man.
Okay, last book of the week we got here. It is AD After Death, book 1. It is $5.99.
It is Image Comics.
It is. It is written by Scott Schneider, illustrated by Jeff Lemire, lettered by Steve Wands. I'm gonna throw 2 minutes because I just can't. This is a legit book.
Yeah, it's a long book.
So I actually, this wasn't even on my radar. It showed up in my Dropbox, and so I was like, "Wait, what's this?" Then when I went to the comic book shop, I was like, I saw it on the shelf, and as you see, this is so cool the way it feels. This is like
it's vintage.
It feels vintage. You know, it seems a lot like the Golden Age comics because it's big. It's big. You know, and it is. And I thought like that's weird. Scott Schneider is writing. Jeff Lemire is illustrating.
Yeah.
Like this is a weird team up. And I thought, I mean, there's no way that this is completely just. I know it says illustrated, but this feels like they made it together. Which it's so interesting. But anyways, it starts off and it's mostly written word, which I love. That's just pure brilliance.
Great illustrated classic.
There's not even that many pictures in here. But anyways,
this reminds me of like the old Max comics that I used to read.
It's really interesting because Scott, it's like I said, it starts and it's this guy and he's like, oh yeah, everyone say that your first memory, it's kind of dictates your whole life or whatever. And then he explains it and everything like that and how it was so bad, like what the first memory that you actually remember. Then it goes to the future of this guy and how he takes care of these animals and stuff like that. But he has like a tendency to steal things. And then he goes to this new station. He's starting a new job. And he meets this lady who he knew before and stuff like that. And I think they had a previous relationship and stuff. And it's so it goes into the future. Oh my god, it's so stunning. Like, here's the thing. Jeff Lemire's art is not exactly nice to look at. Like, it's not pretty. But by God, it goes with this story so well. Because it is mostly written word. And even when it's not, like, it just goes with this so perfectly. I love stuff like this where it's kind of like prose, you know what I mean, if that's correct. This is absolutely just pure brilliance and genius and everything the whole way through. Just, it speaks volumes. Like I said, this was not on my radar. I was not sure about this in the least, and it went from being something like, I don't know about this, like even as I was reading it, but man, just every line of that I read and the more I saw, and I read it digitally because I didn't want to mess up the book, but I had to buy it in person just because like look at it, feel it. It's just neat, you know. It's just
even smells vintage, man.
Do you want to say my grade or should I say it?
Dude, say your grade. This is probably your back and bag of the week, really.
I'm just going to roll right into it. Yes, it is my back and bag of the week. It is just magnificent. If you want, you can borrow it or, you know,
I'll take
whatever. It is just insanely good. It's beautiful, and it's weird to say that because it is Jeff Lemire. It is. It gets inside you, and not just like.
This is definitely a monthly title.
Mentally too, it gets inside you mentally. Like it really gets inside your head. Schneider is.
He's a brilliant writer.
He is so genius. Like where did this guy come from? Like who conjured this guy up in a lab? Because he is easily like. I think and I've said this before. He may be the greatest writer of our time. He's easily one of the greatest.
He's definitely one of the greatest because you can't forget Chris Claremont, man. I mean,
Well,
Clint-
he was more like 90s.
He's
I-
80s more or
But
less. Yeah,
like,
so.
if we're talking recent, you have to throw Jason
Oh,
Aaron in there
yeah.
too. But anyways, it is. I'm gonna go ahead
And
and
then
roll
Jeff
into
Johns.
my
runner-up.
runner-up because I already said what my BBOW is. My runner-up is Ninja Turtles, and here's why. It's getting super dark with Splinter and the Foot Clan, and he's pretty much gone Shredder style. Like, this guy refuses because he tells this guy, he's like, I'll let you live, but everything you've worked for, everything you've owned, like all of your industry, absolutely everything, we now own it and we now run it.
Mine.
But you get to live.
Mine.
And he's like, screw you. He's like, all right, that's it. Boom, dead. And all the turtles are there, and all of them immediately, like, of course, Mikey being like, before that even happened, he was like, I'm done. I know where this is going. I'm out of here. And then the rest of them follow suit, and they're like, this is too much. And then Leo's like, Master, like, what is this about? And he's
What are you
like,
doing?
yeah, and he's like, this whole time you've been hiding stuff from us. I don't know what you're doing, where you're going. And Splinter just breaks down. He's like, sometimes the only way that you can protect the people you love is by pushing them away. So now you have to make a choice. And
It's hard.
oh God,
You're gonna start crying here, man.
so that's why this is a very tough week for me. But like, this is something I've never experienced anything like this before. That's why it was my BBOW. And this was super close. This is why we have runner-ups, because there's books like this where they bring me to tears. And that's exactly what happened. Is I was reading it, and I read most of my books at work because I can. I work graveyard, and there's nothing to do most of the night. And I'm tearing up in my little booth, in my little cell, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay. What about you?
My runner-up was The Flash, number 11.
Here's our books.
Yeah, Flash
Runner-up.
number 11 was my runner-up. And the reason why is it was just a great contained story. I enjoyed it. It was well written. It gives a lot of character development to both Iris and Wally. We already knew about Barry so much. And yeah, it was really good. Not quite my BBOW because, well, my BBOW is slightly more improved. My BBOW would be Batman Beyond, number 2.
Whoa, Batman Beyond number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where I threw that one.
It was so good to me. I enjoyed the heck out of this book. I mean, it's got so much potential story-wise. It is just a great read. It's something that I would pick up and will continue picking up until they goof it up. Until they pull a SPIDER-GWEN on us, I'll keep picking this book up.
Which even Spider-Man.
Again, that first half of Spider-GWEN was great.
I'll keep picking it up, but I'm going to have to skim it from now on to make sure they don't
throw in that garbage
crap like that. So, all right, thank you for watching. Please tell us what your BBOW is, as well as any of the other comics, especially the ones that I've given away. Like I said, saved half of them for Talking Nerdy Vlogcast, and I believe that's it. Like I said, thank you for watching us on YouTube. Keep subscribing or keep liking. I'm actually more interested in people that view the videos. Views, actually, my
give
views.
Us some feedback.
To me, feedback is super important.
We always want to improve because we're not the best at this.
We aren't.
We're still learning.
Yes. Well, I mean, we don't get paid for this, so we're not like on a budget. We're just doing this for fun. We're doing this to help people out. Like if they, we want you to get all strong buys. Yeah. So that's why
buy the best.
Exactly. We want you to buy the best. Put your money towards the best as well. So and tell you when some books that used to be strong buys
are not, or something that is not so good is good. Like again, I want to pick up the whole alien life and death or Prometheus life and death thing, but I want to pick it up as a trade. Yeah. Because it looks great because I enjoyed the Prometheus Fire and Stone series, and that was so good. But I want to pick it up in trade. Once I pick up in trade, I'm going to review all of it. The Empress books are now 7 of 7 right now. So we can actually read the entire thing as a series. A group.
Oh, so it's done.
It's done.
It's done.
So
okay,
we can
I didn't
review
know
it
that.
now and trade.
If I would have known that, I probably would have kept picking up in issues, but I'm kind of glad I didn't.
I'm just going to go through and just read all 7 issues back to back to back and go from that point. Read it as a trade.
Cool.
And then review it as Talking Nerdy. As you can see, if you've been following us on Facebook, we've both actually been posting and tagging who's posting. Cause, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turkeys.
I liked that a lot. I liked it. Yeah, that was great. That's why it's weird because one of us will post something and then we end up liking the thing, but it's weird because it only lets you like it as Talk Nerdy to me, not as yourself.
Yeah.
So then it looks like we're
liking
our own thing, which is true, but it's the other person.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, not only that, we've been churning out some content slowly but surely. Finally the Ghostbusters stuff came out, which I had to put out because I have recorded with Tone Bone the other night.
Oh.
We have the same days off, so I went over to his casa and we reviewed some stuff, and we reviewed he reviewed what is it, like Tokyo Diner on Netflix? It's a live action show, actually. I thought it was an anime. And he also reviewed the newest expansion for WoW, World of Warcraft. And then I didn't review it necessarily, but I talked about Mr. Robot, Vikings, and Supergirl. So I'm not caught up yet. I'm not caught up on Supergirl, but
it's some good stuff. They bring in some characters that we've seen recently, some people we've seen recently that we didn't quite ask this question of. So I mean,
yeah, we didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah, so
we'll see. But yeah, like I said, I'm slowly churning stuff out. I will be honest, the reason I've been slacking a little bit because I've been so obsessed with Mass Effect lately.
Okay.
So I've been splitting my time between playing Mass Effect, editing videos, and editing audio.
The Batman Telltale game is still booming, man. Oh, so good.
But yeah, all right. Well, that's it for us. Thank you. Like I said, you can find all our stuff at TNTM the show, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. More people should follow us on Tumblr.
I just want people to just give us some feedback. Because
yes, absolutely.
I want to improve this so that we make it better for you guys, for you, the audience. Because, again, we're not professionals.
Yeah.
We don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just doing this for fun.
We don't even put that much prep time into it.
Yeah, we kind of read our books. We talk about them for like 10 or 15 minutes before we start the cast. And
we're no Batman or, Home Alone kid. So
yeah, no prep. So
not much.
Give us feedback on any of our venues of contact.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you want to contribute, get a hold of us.
Yeah, for sure.
We would like for you to contribute.
For sure.
It's
definitely.
The more the merrier.
Whether it be in like videos too, whatever.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. You missed. Dude, you missed some Senor Magico.
I missed some Senor Magico?
Yes.
Dude, I got a friend of mine at work that looks just like Senor Magico. And I keep picking on him as well. So, I missed a Luke Cage? It was Iron Fist?
That's what it was. Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Okay, Power Man and Iron Fist. I'll have to go back and read that because I still have the last 2
And then
weeks
last week's Superman was really good too. Yeah. That was with Superboy
and Jonathan
and Robin doing the challenges.
Oh yeah.
That was great. So, but anyways, thank you for watching and keep your eyes hungry for
comics.
Drools on me.